Hey, Tony Gaskins here, popping in for a Sunday sermon. Now, typically when I get to shoot a Sunday sermon, it's the video of the week that doesn't have any advertisements on it. So hopefully I get to do this every week. But I wanted to pop in and share something with you because I see so much struggle. I see so many people struggling and so many people paycheck to paycheck, and it's not because of necessarily just choices with money, but just living situation, job situation, income situation. And one thing that I have been made assured of is that God is on the throne and that there is always a way out. There's always a way up. That there's always one window of opportunity that's near you. And a lot of times, depending on your mindset and how you're looking at your situation, you may not see it. You may not believe it. But it could be one thing that you grab a hold of, and that thing lifts you out of your situation. It could be one gift. It could be one opportunity, just one belief. And that thing, you're able to ride it into a new situation. You're able to ride it into a new life. And I say that to say you have to be able to start to speak life over yourself and speak positivity over yourself and come to the place to where you believe in the possibilities and you believe that there is better for you and that there is more for you. And get to that place to where you are not feeling bad for yourself. It's not woe is me. You're not sitting there and just, oh, nothing is going right. Oh, nothing works for me. I don't have any opportunity. I don't have any blessings. But you take the little opportunity, grab it by the horns, and you just ride it. And it's so many ways. But a lot of times we don't think about it. Just like the young lady that sent me the hat. And she's starting somewhere. Now, this company right here that makes this hat, they sell their hats in stores. Now, when you see the TG and you see this TB for this protein, it ain't much difference. Yeah, it's a little difference in the stitching quality, but it ain't much difference. But this is a start from one person. And on the inside, it's a little bit of a difference. Now my hat don't have, it have something back there, but the logo, but it ain't a whole lot of difference between this multi-million-dollar company and this young lady's business that she started. And so Gail P Designs, if you see this, Gail, put your website in the comments. But I don't know if they block it. I don't know if YouTube block it because I asked Gail to do it and I still ain't seen it in there. But Gail did this. My client who I'm going to show her, and Gail made me another hat too. My client who I'm going to show her business next week. Here she was, she's not making money from her college degree. But she saw a need in her life. And she said, you know what? I got to fix my credit. And she fixed her credit. And then she fixed her friend credit. Next thing you know, it turned into a business. She gonna tell her story when I put her story up. But sometimes it's just one thing. I remember when I got started in 2007, I wrote my first book. I just was talking to my oldest son today. He's 13 years old. Wow. He's 13 years old. And it took 13 years. 13 years. My mom and dad, when I was building my business, they used to always mention about Joseph and Joseph bringing his family up when he got in position. And they were saying this to me, and I'm like, I'm not at that position. But it was this year, 13 years later, just like with Joseph, when God gave Joseph a dream. When Joseph became second in command, that's when he was able to bless his family. But it took 13 years. And it was just a dream that he had. And from that dream, he was imprisoned. His brothers tried to sell him. His brothers sold him. He went through so much. He was falsely accused by the man's wife. Was it Potiphar? And he went through so much before he realized the dream, before the dream came to fruition. And I remember it was a pastor that prayed over me. And he said, "You've been shot out of a cannon like Joseph, the dreamer." That pastor died probably a month or 2 months later. But I held on to that word, and he said a prayer for me. And I remember, my youngest son waving at me. My mother and my father, they would always mention Joseph. And really what they were saying is, you need to do something for us. And I was like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. That I'm doing for my household. But it was this year, 13 years later, that I was finally able to bless my father with his dream car. Bless my mother with a brand new 2020. Bless my mother with a new home. Bless my mother-in-law with a new car and a new place to stay, a new home. 13 years from when I saw the vision, from when I changed my life, from when I left the streets. It was 2007 that I sold my last drugs in the streets. It was 2007 that I married my wife. It was 2007 that my first son was born. 13 years later. 13 years later. And here's the thing. 13 years later, 2020, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of the world being in turmoil, God took and showed me my best year yet. And said, this is the beginning of what's to come. And it started with a book that was self-published, that was just a part of the vision. That book didn't do much of anything. This year in 2020, I got the largest royalty check from that book from 2007 that I've ever had. And had it not been published through another company, through an internet publisher, the royalty check would have been even larger, but they took a portion of it. So I probably walk away with 40%. In that check, it was $1,100. That's not a whole lot of money, $1,100, but it is the largest royalty check I received from my first book. Now, yes, my later books have earned way more than that, but my first book just now paid its largest dividend, its largest royalty 13 years later. But see, having no college degree, having no real understanding of the English language, no real command of grammar and punctuation, I wrote a book because I am a writer, a self-proclaimed writer, because writing was my escape. I wrote poetry, and wisdom was given to me from God through my father. So I took my love for writing, took my gift of wisdom, and I wrote a book at 22 years old. That book just opened the doors. It just was brand equity. And from there, it led me to continue to put one foot in front of the other. And that turned into several books. And then that turned into author consulting for other people. Then that turned into ghostwriting for other people. Then that turned into publishing for other people. You see, it's just one thing. It could be one thing, one small window of opportunity, one little inkling that could change your life. But if you sit in doubt and you sit in worry, and it's just one person at a time that you're reaching with your gift or with your service. And the other thing is your heart has to be pure. So you just can't grab onto, this cloud and think you're going to ride it out. Your heart has to be pure. You have to have a servant's heart. Somebody sent me a cash app this morning, and it was like they were saying it's tithes and offering. And I'm not a traditional minister or pastor to where I have four walls and I have a congregation. You are my congregation on social media, online. I'm an internet pastor, but not ordained. just God called, not man touched, ordained by man, but ordained by God. Without a body or organization or a covering, my covering is God. I'm not a part of association or assemblies with God, Church of God in Christ, none of that. My covering is God, the source. No bureaucracy, no diplomats, no board, no none of that. Just me working for God. And somebody sent me a cash app and said, "This is my tithes and offering." And I showed that to my son, my 13-year-old. He came in my room. I said, "Son, look at this. Look at this. This person just sent me a blessing to say thank you for serving." And that's one thing. And I taught this to my son. I said, listen, when you see your life and when you see our blessings, I want you to understand something. I had to make changes. I had to make changes. I had to renew my mind. I had to renew my heart. I said, I was selling drugs when you was born. I was going to class with a .380 handgun and a quarter-pound of weed sitting in my college classroom. I had to make changes. I said, I used to be toxic, controlling, abusive in my past relationship. I had to make changes. I had to shift my mind. I had to shift my heart. See, you can't expect good with a bad heart. You can't expect good with a bad mind. You can't do that. You got to serve. And see, let me tell you. Well, Tony, how am I going to serve? What am I going to do? I don't have no social media following. Guess what? It's homeless people in your city. Guess what's in your house right now? A loaf of bread. Go make 6 sandwiches and go downtown and hand out them 6 sandwiches. You could just hand them right out the window. Just hand. You might want to Google it, make sure it ain't illegal in your city, because some cities it's illegal. But what they said Jesus was doing was illegal. For righteousness, I might be illegal for righteousness. But that's just an example. It's somebody right now that's in your family that's struggling. And you know they got a good heart. You know they got good intentions. But they probably $100 short for their rent today. It's November 1st. That rent got to be in by November 5th. They probably $100 short. And you sitting on $500. And your rent or your mortgage paid. Guess what? You could bless somebody. If you got $30 to bless. If you got $50 to bless. If you got $100 to bless. It's somebody that you could bless from the kindness of your heart. From the kindness of your heart. And see, God has been working on me to make me more mindful. To make me more mindful. I got a friend and he had his first daughter. He asked me to be her godfather. And I haven't really been there, and we really didn't really keep in touch and keep up. But I talked to him some months ago, earlier in the year. And we talked about his daughter. And I said, when her birthday? He said October 31st. And I put it in my phone calendar. So yesterday when I looked at my calendar to see what was going on, I saw it's his daughter's birthday. So I text him. I said, hey, tell Princess happy birthday and send me your cash app so I could send her a gift. And he sent me his cash app and I sent him $50. Now, you know, kids gifts might be $25, $30, $40, $50. I sent him $50, not to be over the top, not to be too grandiose, but just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. And add this to her blessings. To everybody else gift that gave, add this to her blessings. And me and him never talked. We was cool in high school. We never talked. We may talk once a year. But it just was a blessing. I used it as an example, not to brag or anything like that. There ain't nothing big, but I'm just saying you have to shift your mindset to be mindful, to be thoughtful. And my wife look at me like I'm crazy. My sisters look at me like I'm crazy. When I think about the people in my circle, the people that have been there for me, that have helped me, and I'm like, I'm trying to get them a car or get them a business, you know, or help them pay down their credit card debt. In the midst of the pandemic, you know, I helped my barber and I gave him a stimulus check in the pandemic. And I helped my homeboy that I played football with in college, and he's my security guard. I gave him a stimulus check in the pandemic, in the tune of thousands. And people will look at me like, man, you crazy. What the world is a pandemic? What the world are you giving away? But God made sure it come back. God bless me back for having a giving heart, for having a servant's heart. It's Sunday. I'm home today. Now, sometimes I have to be gone with sports with my son, but I'm home today. I could be kicked back, relaxing right now, chilling. But God say serve. Somebody need a word. Somebody still working on their heart. Somebody's heart ain't all the way shifted. So their heart ain't all the way shifted from selfish to servant. So I cannot bless a selfish heart. See, God don't bless mess. He'll help you come out your mess, but he can't bless your mess. You see what I'm saying? He's not going to bless you in fornication. He'll give you the wisdom to come out that fornication, but he can't bless fornication. Can't do that. Yeah, he'll cover you. You got grace and mercy so that you don't catch HIV and die. You got grace and mercy, but he can't give you the abundance that he has for you when you in willing sin, when you got a selfish heart, when you greedy, when you jealous and backbiting and gossiping. You can't receive the fullness of God. But see, when I change those things, God started pouring out above and beyond. When I share messages and blessings and testimony with my family. But see, now, here's the thing. For my family, their heart will have to shift to, I'm happy for Tony and everything he got, and I don't want to die. But if I share a blessing or a testimony and they say, well, you need to be doing more for me. God doing all that for you. And what are you doing for me? You ain't did enough for me. Guess what? All their blessings blocked. All your blessings blocked. Because God cannot bless that kind of heart. So listen. There's a dream. There's a vision. There's an opportunity. And there's a shift that has to happen. And y'all forgive me for having on a hat in the house of the Lord. I ain't got no hairline today. So I had to put this hat on. But God bless you. And listen to this. Listen to this 2-3 times and get this in your spirit. I got to go. Y'all, the benediction. Y'all get the benediction going. I got to go. My wife just brought me some breakfast home. I got to go. And I'm starting to have a tear out my eye. I can't be on here. Because see, I don't preach every Sunday. So my message moved me. A lot of pastors, they preach and they don't have no emotion with it. But I go to crying, so I got to get going. Listen to this again. Listen to this again. Listen to this 3 or 4 times. Because your mind going to take you somewhere. And you miss the next sentence. So listen to this 3 or 4 times and get this in your spirit. Shift your heart. Shift your heart. Stop being jealous. Stop coveting your neighbor. Stop being selfish. Stop being greedy. And then take what you got, what God just put right in front of you, your gift, and ride it. Take it to the max. Ride it, use it, and use it for the glory of God, not for your glory. See, you thinking about being praised. You thinking about your glory. That's why God can't pour out on you, because you're thinking about your glory and your praise. You're thinking about your awards and your recognition. You got to think about God's glory. Can God get the glory from your story? When you get out the way and you say, God, my story is for your glory, that's when he's going to exalt you. I'm talking to myself. Hey, the spirit just left the room, so I got to go. God bless you. We'll talk soon.